Hello and welcome to another episode of Bangers and Mosh, the only podcast who are not as others. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Daz.
And I'm Defa.
So today we're bringing you Volume 1 in our Hall of Fame series. So I can't believe this. Me and Def were talking about this the other night when we went to see Cattle Decap. All the way back in February 2021, we had the idea to put up a post every Wednesday on social media celebrating a classic album under the Hall of Fame banner. 4 years we've been doing this. Def, we were like, what? 4 years?
It felt like 6 months ago.
Yeah, mate, it's mental.
Time flies when you're having fun, lads.
It really does, doesn't it?
True, mate. True.
Every Wednesday, without fail, for the last 4 years, we've taken it in turns to induct an album. It's still one of my favourite things we do, is picking like albums to go in the Hall of Fame. I love when it's my turn on Wednesday. I'm like, yes, it's my album this week. And being the big brain operation that we are, it's taken us 4 years to come up with the idea of actually talking about the records that we put into the Hall of Fame. Okay, now sharp as tools in the box, aren't we? So what we're going to do essentially is in each volume we're going to be discussing 3 albums that are classics to us. These could be albums that were pivotal in getting us into heavy music, albums that have defined certain periods of our lives. They could be albums that have opened us up to new genres, subgenres, like classic albums. A lot of them that go in are classic albums that we've discovered recently as well, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a good mixture of everything.
There is, mate. Like, there's always, I find, especially with your albums, Daz, are the ones mostly that I've not heard before.
Yeah, so, fair enough.
When it comes to your picks, it's always an album that I'll go into knowing really nothing about. So it's
nice.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's same as with you, Daz. Yeah, it's when you put an album on there, it's like, is that an album or is he saying a sentence? I haven't got a clue. It's one of those. It's like, I've got no clue, mate. It's good for me. It's great for me because I'm learning about all this stuff.
That's it, mate. It's been a good way of like introducing each other to stuff that we haven't heard before as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate.
So this first batch then, the first album we're going to be talking about is Merauder, Master Killer, from 1995, came out on Century Media. So this was the one that I picked. So I was digging back. I had a little scout around on Discogs and stuff. So I first heard Merauder on Metal Hammer's Brutal Bunch Volume 2.
God, blimey.
Do you remember them?
Yes.
Brutal Bunch, mate.
Brutal Bunch, yeah. Cover mount CD, right from back in 1995. I had a little look at the track listing. Korma on there. There's a Cradle of Filth track on there. Pitch Shifter. Do you remember Dearly Beheaded?
Yeah.
No.
I first heard Dearly Beheaded on there. So the Merauder track they had was the title track of Master Killer, and I remember, like, did you used to play them? Did you always used to play them CDs that you got off the?
Yeah, all the time.
Cover mount? Yeah. You used to have to skip through, didn't you, every track? And like the ones that I loved, I used to put them like, on a mixtape.
Yeah. That was a classic, wasn't it? Where you had the old CD player and then the tape player, and you could just record it.
Yeah, mate, they were invaluable. Like we've said it before, but those promo CDs were just invaluable for discovering.
That was basically our internet, wasn't it? Then
Yes,
was our Spotify, and we didn't have access to all of that, them years ago. So
it was, mate. I wish I'd have kept mine. I had them all in a massive wallet.
I had a stash of them, mate. Same.
Yeah, I wish I'd have kept them. So yeah, I remember instantly loving this track, but this was a really hard album to get hold of in England in the mid-90s. I always used to have I used to go up to like Tower Records and Virgin Megastore, in London on the regular, and I always had like a pen and paper list, like a little notepad list of albums I wanted to buy. Merauder Master Killer was on there for time, and you could never find it. I remember just flicking through them racks of CDs, man, always trying to find this album. But sort of along with like Earth Crisis, Vision of Disorder, Integrity, 100 Demons, All Out War, Ringworm, Like them batch of bands were like the proper definition of like metal and hardcore
Yeah.
mashed up. Dad, you've been on a right tip on this stuff recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I've just like been revisiting all the stuff that I kind of like got into, because that was like kind of like my early doors stuff. That was like All Out War and Sworn Enemy and stuff, and Integrity and all that kind of business.
Was
So
Merauder in
yeah,
there for you? Did you hear them around that time or?
not really, mate. No, it was a bit later on. But as you said, it was difficult to like get hold of anything
It
by
was,
then.
wasn't it?
So it was kind of they were kind of well under the radar for a little while. I don't know why you couldn't get hold of their Master Killer for ages.
I mean, it's on Century Media. You'd have thought
Yeah,
that, like,
it would be in HMV.
yeah, or
Should
like
be.
Tower Records had everything. Maybe
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just fucking missed it, mate, or whatever. But yeah, it took me years to find this, but it is an absolute classic at this point. Like, it's 10 tracks. 30, was it 33 minutes? 33 and a half minutes, I think it is. Not a wasted second anywhere on here. Like that, the whole album's great, but that opening 5-track run is just fucking god tier. Like Time Ends, into Life is Pain, into Mirror Shows Black, into the title track, into Downfall of Christ. Like,
Mate, it's so good, isn't it?
honestly, get out of it. I always thought I've been listening to this a lot recently, last few weeks in preparation for this, right? I thought Life is Pain was my favourite track on here, but Mirror Shows Black, mate, and the Downfall of Christ.
Bangers.
Forget about it.
I'd love to have seen these. I'd love to have seen these live. I don't recall them ever being over here around this time either. So not only could you not get hold of the CD,
Couldn't see him.
yeah, I don't think there was really a chance to see them live over here either. So there's some really cool. I was reading about this the other day, so I didn't realise that. So Paris Mayhew from Chromatics produced this record. I mean, the production's perfect on here. The fact that this is 30 years old this year and doesn't sound dated is an absolute testament to the work that he did on this record. And I thought, so I read some interviews and stuff, and I thought, oh, imagine what that would have been like for the band at that point, working with a legendary producer. So I've got a quote here from George Rosado about working with Paris Mayhew, and he says, "It's not as bad as you might think. Paris didn't really get under my skin that much. At time he shows he's a hater, but he's too small in life for me to see him as a threat. I don't give a fuck who he played for. That doesn't get you respect in my book. Plus, I have an issue with my vocals on that album. It's not my full potential, and I was told to be more stiff, as you can see from all my other stuff. I was always going to go harder and do more, but it is what it is. This album's still a classic." So it's working with this legendary producer, and he's just like, yeah, he didn't get on my tits too much, to be fair to him.
That's a proper hardcore response.
Yeah.
He's just a complete monster, man. If you watch his live IG stuff and that, he's just a like absolute nutter.
Mate, I rewatched. I remember seeing the video to Master Killer on Headbangers Ball back in the day, and that was like, it's hard as fuck. He sat like on a throne in front of like the band are all up on a stage, like a stage behind him, and they all look hard as fuck, mate. Like that proper New York like hardcore look, and he's just
proper.
We say that Rob Flynn looking like a scary fucker in them days, like. George Rosado, man, he was like, he would have given him a proper run for his money. I think in them stakes,
he would have battered him.
Yeah, I think
there's no question.
If they'd been one of them, remember them MTV
Deathmatch. Yeah,
Flynn v Rosado. Def, did you first? Was it Metal Hammer CD you first had this?
Yes, I think I had exactly the same one. Yeah, but then it was, I don't know, it's in hardcore. Then I got into it a lot later. So this was a band I sort of appreciate more now, but I wish I would have appreciated them like when Daz was listening to all this stuff. I mean, hardcore metal, this type of shit. This sort of proper metal core, was something I wasn't really listening to, but
No, I think it kind of skipped us by then, Def, because we'd finished school by this point and gone our own ways, and so it was kind of like
it was a lost genre.
Yeah, it kind of was, mate. But like the influence of this album, like, there's like songs from this album have been covered by like Heaven Shall Burn did a cover of Downfall of Christ. Hatebreed covered Life Is Pain. God Forbid covered Master Killer. If you go on YouTube and just type in Master Killer, there's about 700 cover like that hardcore bands have covered this song live. Like it's such a like iconic record now in that metal sort of hardcore world. Have you ever like delved further into their discography after this?
Yeah.
Is it for me? I don't even think they came close to touching this.
This is the pinnacle, isn't it? This is the pinnacle by far.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't keen on Five Deadly Venoms, even though that's like heralded as probably one of the better ones. But I think the production on that really lets it down.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the last one they did? Like I Am God or something? God is I.
God is I, 2009. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking wicked, mate. I love that album.
Is it? I'm gonna.
Mate, fuck me. It's so good, dude. That's probably
I haven't done that. I have to do
second
that.
for me.
Right. Okay.
On the Marauder
I love some of
discography, the production's just well good. It just sounds fucking hard as fuck.
Right, sick. Okay, that's going on the list for tomorrow.
Yes, that's the one, mate.
Yeah, I remember doing Five Deadly Venoms and Brutality, I think, from 2003. But I was like, it kind of just after this record, I don't know, it's not like a noose around their neck, so to speak. But when you've dropped an iconic debut, it is sometimes hard to.
Yeah, they never replicated that.
Not many bands do, mate, do they? When they have that like lightning in a bottle from a debut album. Like the album art as well is really iconic. Brian Buccellato did it. Like it's definitely like dated, isn't it? It's got that like 90s video game charm to it, but it's because of that it's so.
It's standout.
Yeah, it is, mate. It's so iconic because of that. Like, looking through the other artwork of theirs, like nothing really pops like that cover does either.
Yeah.
No, mate.
It's such an iconic image that now. But yeah, this was
a fucking samurai on the front cover, mate.
no, you can't, mate. Like the name of calling your first album Master Killer is such a fucking hard flex as well.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, they're just fucking hard as fuck, mate. Honestly,
it's got that proper like New York street level like
attitude.
Yeah, to it. It's such a great album. This was one of the first albums I picked for our Hall of Fame. I think this was like 3 or 4 picks into it, and I was like, I had a list of the first 10 that I had at the time, and this was like straight in as one of my picks. I had to have this in here. But yeah, Marauder Master Killer from 1995. If you haven't heard it, man, honestly, getting it. It's just one of the best like metal / hardcore albums ever, quite frankly. And yeah, that's why it had to go in, and that was why it was my first pick for Volume 1.
Nice. Well, my first pick for Volume 1. I love that we're doing them in volumes.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Fucking great idea.
Cheers,
I picked Those Once Loyal by Bolt Thrower. Yeah, released on the 11th of November 2005 by Metal Blade Records.
Yeah, boy.
Produced by Andy Faulkner at Sable Rose Studios in Coventry, England. It's a good place to be in, Coventry.
It was indeed.
Yeah, it was indeed. The first Bolt Thrower album since '98 to feature Willits, because he rejoined in November 2004. So they had what's his name from Benediction, didn't they?
Do you like Honor Valor Pride?
I don't really go to it that much. No, I just don't think Dave Ingram in it.
Yeah, it was.
I just don't think he's.
It hasn't got the grab, is it, as the others?
No, it's not.
I think musically it's still good. It just doesn't but without Carl, it just doesn't sound like.
No, it doesn't sound right. No.
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, I probably should spend some more time with that record, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's definitely the one I go to the least.
Yeah, same.
But it's pretty cool actually, because I was reading that like Joe Bench sort of said she was unable to hear the final album until it was mastered.
Yeah.
They hadn't been constrained by deadlines set by Metal Blade, so by upcoming touring commitments or anything. So yeah, they just thought that like Bolt Thrower would have still been in the studio rewriting all their songs by the time of the album's release, because they just kept rewriting bits, and they were very meticulous with their song structures and stuff. But it goes to show that they basically, well, according to the band, they're like unanimous in thinking that this is their best work.
Yeah, I like. Do you think it's their best work? Like, if you boys were ranking Bolt Thrower albums, is it? It probably is their best, but is it your favourite?
Mate, it's definitely there with Fourth Crusade for me, I think.
Ooh, okay. I think For Victory is still my favourite.
Well, strong album that.
It's just because it's the first Bolt Thrower I heard, so it's got a bit of sentimental like pull to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, they tend to do that, don't they, when you sort of get in on the first album and stuff. But
yeah, mate.
you know, honestly, this is probably, you know, can take the top spot for me on certain days. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the cover art was derived from a plaque found on a Guards Memorial, like a World War One memorial in St James's Park in London.
It's quality, that, isn't it?
Yeah, and Joe Bench conceived the idea to use the plaque for the cover, because they aimed to sort of like, they wanted to distance themselves from like the fantasy battle sort of artwork that they'd been.
Yeah, I think that's
before.
It kind of been. I like it. I think it'd have been done though by that point, hadn't it? Like,
yeah, probably.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what makes this. Well, For Victory as well has got slightly different.
It's a different one, yeah. Others,
yeah, style album cover as well. But I think it's what makes this stand out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, it's better than the Full Victory cover. I think I tend to find that one quite boring, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's kind of. It's quite solemn, isn't it? It's like there's just marching off.
You wouldn't think it was a Bolt Thrower album if you just saw that cover art.
Yeah, if you took
title For Victory, you'd be like, I don't know who. If it was a death metal band, I don't even think you would guess it was a death metal band in the first place.
If you took the logo off it, you wouldn't tell it was.
No way.
No, I mean, in a 2017 interview with Metal Hammer, Willett stated that the decision to stop recording the albums was a brave one. He said they could have carried on, but in their eyes, Those Once Loyal was the pinnacle of what they wanted to achieve. And they're proud of the legacy that they've left behind us. But I didn't actually realise that they had recorded another album.
They started writing another record,
but it just never saw the light of day.
It's kind of, I do admire them for going out on top. But I don't think like what they would have released after would have been stinking compared to this. Do you know what I mean? They probably still had some great fucking songs in them. That's what, it's kind of sad that we'll never get to hear those, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it is a shame, really. Like, maybe one day they might end up seeing the light of day or something. You can always hope.
It's kind of funny with them because you just know that they're like so like staunch in their Bolt Thrower is done. Like, that's it. You'll you know they could, let's be honest, right? With their like influence now over like a lot of modern death metal, they could release so much merch now and make a fucking killing.
They could.
But they don't, because they're just, no, it's done. It's
what
over.
Did he say to us at Damnation? He's like, I saw. Did he see
I was wearing the same tee. I was wearing the same one now.
Like, what I'm going to do is just like do those rip-off shirts and just put Memoriam on the top of it.
I'll tell you what. I mean,
it's like every other band does.
Hey, do a War Master one with the Memoriam. Like, I'm fucking there, mate. Yeah, I'm there, man.
But I like that they have this. I like that they have this, like that them ethics that that's it's done, it's gone. Bolt Thrower is like sacred. Yeah, and we won't do anything to like besmirch it.
Yeah, especially with the old passing of Martin Kearns.
I think that was the main the reason it was ended, wasn't it? I think that's why it's done and dusted. We won't do anything else. No. But look at the memories we got of Bolt Thrower, and everyone you could write Bolt Thrower on social media, and you're going to get a record amount of likes. They're one of these bands. They've just got this pull, and there's no real stinker of an album. There's a great band, and
another one I wish I'd seen live. Never.
Oh God, yeah.
Just never got the chance.
The riffs on this album as well, like sort of like they've got like really deep rooted thrash riffs and like classic new wave of British heavy metal in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every band member is audible at all times. Gaz Ward and Baz Thompson just absolutely completing groove metal riffs with the highest distinction.
Well, let me ask you this, right? Do those two get enough credit as a guitar duo?
Fuck no, never hear them mentioned, do you?
No, whenever like best guitarists in metal like debates come up, these two never seem to get.
Never, dude. Which is weird, isn't it? Because everyone's just like, "Oh, we love Bolt Thrower so much," and that, but it's just like, they never mention the guitarists.
No.
The riffs that they created and stuff like in these discussions that they have on social media.
And the riffs, like their riffs weren't the most complex, but they're just so effective. And fucking memorable as well. Like,
I mean, this album is stacked back to front, in it. Like every single song from that first light, the Kill Chains, obviously a highlight. Anti-Tank, Dead Armor, Salvo, the title track, and then obviously closing with When Cannons Fade, and it closes with Martin's drums, which is also a really fitting finale to the band that obviously they did by accident.
Imagine that as a complete fluke. Like they finished that recording and they didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know they were never going to top this at the time. They didn't know what was going, and just to have that as the playing the band's legacy out, it's perfect, isn't it? Sometimes things happen like that.
It is perfect, mate. It's just. If you had one of those YouTube challenge videos, like to not like bang your head, everyone would lose if they played this album. Like it'd just be over, like And as you said, Jim, like they're not the most complex sort of riffs and that, but they're ones that they don't only just stick in your head for days or weeks. They live in your head forever. Occasionally rearing their heads, and just like.
Sometimes you don't need to play 30 notes; you just need to play 3. But if you do the 3 in the right order, then.
Yeah. I mean, it is 39 minutes of UK death metal perfection, and they're definitely cherished for a lot of reasons.
Absolutely,
and deservedly so, man.
Yeah, man.
Great fucking album.
Where does it, Def? Where would you write? Where do you put this in your personal BT ranking?
This would be top 3. I think I love Warmaster. I love Fourth Crusade. I think, and I love it's. Hovering in top 3, I think. I don't think there's no wrong answer.
It's just an interesting.
Everyone, I think, will say this. They'll have a favourite, but it'll be like, but there's these 2 or 3 that are pretty much joint, and there's 3 or 4 albums that they've done that are pretty much joint first.
Yeah.
Difficult ranking. It's a difficult ranking.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Those higher ones. So those higher end ones, mate. It's very difficult to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Good pick, Daz.
Thanks, mate.
Good.
Yeah,
that's
good pick.
Marauder, Bolt Thrower. That's not a bad little 1-2, is it?
Well, completing the trilogy, mate. We've got another whopper, haven't we?
Goodness me.
We've got another whopper, and I'm joined by my mates behind me.
Not the Burger King.
Gives a clue. So we are going back. Roadrunner Records, September 1993. The 5th album from one of my favourite all-time bands, Sepultura.
Yeah, boy.
Chaos AD. A classic that needs no introduction. The album that changed the band's sound again. The 2 previous are probably, I would say, received as 2 of the best thrash albums ever. Beneath the Remains and Arise. They are top of the fucking tree. Chaos AD dropped those thrash sections and they injected something else. Groove, baby. So
tell you a little thing that I learned. I was watching Def earlier, some in studio MTV clips from when they were recording this, and Max said a lot of this was influenced by his seeing how crowds reacted to certain parts of songs. So like the slower, groovier sections of like Arise and Beneath the Remains, he was like, you could see the chaos in the crowd when those slower bits hit. And he said that influenced a lot of the groovier parts on this. And he also said that is what inspired the name of the record as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the first track that I heard from this album, this could have been the album title, was Propaganda. Yes. I think I had it on single. I think I bought it on single. I think so. I think I bought it on CD single back in the time, because we were listening to Sepultura then. We were 13, so we were on that ish. Just
our mate Steve lent me a tape with Beneath the Remains on one side and Arise on the other side.
We fucking caned it, mate.
mate.
We were like, wow.
Second-hand copies of second-hand copies, didn't we?
Wow, yeah. And so, yeah, Propaganda was like the first track I heard from this. And I felt like I'd never heard anything like this. You know, this was like groove metal perfection. You know what I mean? It's heavy, fast, and it was catchy. You know, Max's vocals have just got that attitude and delivery. Even to this day, I can't get enough of, man. He just sounds perfect for this Sepultura role, man. You know, go on, mate.
I was going to say that. So he went in the studio, he recorded his vocals as if he was on stage live with like the mic set up in front of him. So rather than like being behind, you know, a vocal booth with the stand-up mic here, he had his mic set up how he did it live to capture like live vocals on the record.
That's fucking mental, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's so clever as well, isn't it? It's you're changing the way that you're sounding from the previous 4 albums, because the first 2 were completely different. The last 2 were different from those 2, and this one is going. You know, it's a risk. It is a risk because, you know, Arise was so good, but you know,
you said it before, mate. When you complete something,
they've completed
it. I think more bands have covered Refuse Resist than anything off of Arise or Beneath the Remains.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's probably more
testament.
It's probably because a lot of bands probably got into this album first rather than those previous albums. So this was probably the Sepultura album for them, how it started, how they got into the band.
Oh yeah.
I think it might be for me, mate, the album.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I used to listen to this all the time. This is the one that like caught me first.
Yeah.
We covered Refuse Resist in a couple of my bands. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
sick.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's fucking amazing album, isn't it?
It is, mate. Yeah.
Territory, Slave New World, Propaganda. It's stacked, mate.
Incredible record, mate.
And I like that this album is like sandwiched between 2 iconic groove albums. You had Vulgar Display of Power in 92, Burn My Eyes in 94. This was like that shift, that change. I mean, when we were listening to Burn My Eyes, Jim, it was like, fucking hell, man, this is, you know, heavy metal is changing.
Yes.
You know, it's coming out of this hair thrash metal stuff. You know, it's slowing down. It's still got those quick moments, but it's getting heavier. It's getting heavier, mate. It's literally breaking your fucking eardrums.
God, we were eating good death, weren't we, in them?
We were eating, mate. Oh, mate, hearing this stuff for the first time, man. And like, you know, like I mentioned before with Sepultura, what they've done, you know, Morbid Visions and Schizophrenia, you had that sort of blackened death thrash sound, which just, I mean, when I hear, even you hear Schizophrenia with that sort of basement black metal production, it scares the shit out of you because, one, you can't hear anything. Well, you can, it's just noise. It's just pure noise. Max sounds as evil as fucking ever. Those first 2 are just nasty albums, man. They done that, they cleaned it up. The second volume for Sepultura, Beneath the Remains and Arise, still added that groove with this more thrash style breakdowns. Like Jim said, they completed it. Chaos AD, they invented this new style, which is sort of a volume 3, with Roots being the end game for like the Cavalera era Sepultura. You know, it's still neck breaking this and aggressive, but there's control and accuracy. And they're starting to bring that sort of tribal heritage more to the forefront
Yeah,
of this
that's
album. Arise, they
where
sort of
it starts, isn't it?
fingered a little bit in Arise, but this, the end of Refuse Resist with the drums, and even at the beginning, that
Yeah,
That's
and,
it, mate.
and Territory, I mean the beginning, that fucking beginning,
Some
mate.
of the best drumming ever is on this record.
Igor
Mate.
on this, Igor Cavalera on this, mate, is the best fucking drum performance ever, mate.
I think Max said as well in this interview, because they toured a lot more by this point, and they'd been, they visited a lot of different countries. He was writing more political, sort of social commentary lyrics, because he was seeing different things in countries they would visit. So this album leaned way. This was more the lyrics on this were more real life than
I mean, Refuse Resist. I mean, the video Refuse Resist is hard.
Yeah.
Slave New World. I mean, the lyrics in that is fucking hard, and I mean that's fucking banger, mate.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good.
It's just, I mean, Amen has got that iconic riff structure. It's mid-paced, but it's so heavy. And then you've got the sort of real difference. Chaos has that real roots feel, but 3 years earlier. And it was recorded at Chepstow Castle in Wales.
It's wicked.
I thought I knew that. And when you sort of see something and you're like, I'm sure I knew that before.
You would have read that in the booklet.
I'm 100%. Sure, yeah. And I was like, I thought I knew that, because they're on their way to a gig. I think they were doing some UK tour, and they stopped off, and they obviously felt that this. I think it was Andy Wallace sort of felt it was the right sort of place to do this sort of thing.
There's a video of it, mate, on MTV.
Yeah, I've seen. I've seen. The video's amazing, mate.
Yeah, playing that in Chepstow Castle is
absolutely fucking incredible, man.
Did you have the Third World Chaos video?
Yes, back in the day, man.
Rinsed the life out of that video, mate.
Jesus,
back then. It was so good.
Christ.
So good.
Oh, and
talk about Andy Wallace quickly, Dev. This is one of the best sounding albums in the 90s as well. It hasn't aged at all. Like, he wanted them, so they'd not really recorded live as a band in the studio before, and he wanted to capture that live energy. So they recorded this album all together, all four of them in a room playing, and you can hear that kind of that energy of this.
100%, man. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't work with Scott Burns, because they first went with him, they worked with him. They said it was a learning experience. They said they weren't happy with the mix. They weren't happy with its sounds. And obviously, I think that's where Andy Wallace brought his magic. They gave him one track. He showed him what the potential of this album could sound like. It. He changed the game, man. And
I'm wondering, Dev, if they heard it and it was slightly too similar to other stuff around this time, and they were we need something different.
They wanted it. If you're doing an album, especially after the last two that they've done, they needed this to stand out.
Yeah.
You wanted no negative. It's a good album, but it doesn't sound as good. Arise sounded better. Needed to be. This sounds different to Arise, but it's fucking fantastic. It hits you. Every drum beat fucking nails it. Every guitar hits you. It's like you're watching them on stage, but playing the CD.
That's it, mate. They capture that live.
That's what they do. You know what I mean? And for me, this is the heaviest album that they've done. This is the heaviest album, man.
It is. Yeah.
Every riff strikes you. The breakdowns drop, they crush you. The breakdowns on this, mate, are just something else. The different pacing on the tracks just shows the balance that they have. I mean, the ending riff on Territory is enough to break your headphones or your speakers.
Oh, it's so good.
Like you said, those slow moments, mate, it still gives you goosebumps when you listen to it.
Just they were like early creators of breakdowns, weren't they? These bands from that, like you said, that groove metal period, that early 90s. They invented breakdowns, didn't they?
They
mastered them.
It was just, you were just, every track you were waiting for, because you knew that Sepultura had a fucking breakdown. And we know that Max in particular is very proud of all these records. I mean, him and Igor, they re-recorded Morbid Visions and Schizophrenia. They've done tours playing Beneath the Remains and Arise, which we've seen. I mean,
I think it's brilliant.
You know what I mean? He's done obviously stuff with Chaos AD. He's done, the Return to Roots stuff. he's very proud of these 6 albums that he's done. And I think this, on some days, is probably my favourite album. I think when I listened to it again today, and it was like, oh my god, man, there's no skips. Even like the last few tracks, which people don't really mention.
I was going to say, I don't really like cover versions on full albums.
The Hunt is fucking great.
Fucking brilliant.
It's fucking. That was Paolo Jr. They recorded a bunch on this recording of like different cover versions. I think Polizia and a few others, and a lot of them on the Blood Rooted CD, which I also had. You had that, but Paolo Jr. wanted the Hunt on this.
He fits so well, doesn't it?
It does. It does sound a bit different. It's got that punky thing, but you think it sounds like a cover version. But Sepultura do it so fucking well. I mean, Symptom of the Universe. I've told you before, Jim. For ages, I thought it was a Sepultura's own track. I mean, this was like teenage me, you know what I mean? And then when you sort of hear Black Sabbath, you think, hang on a minute. It was Black Sabbath fucking tune. And it's like...
Same with Orgasmatron, mate. Like,
they just make it... Yeah, Motorhead. They just make it sound their own. And for ages, it was just like, what? Like, how the fuck do they do that, man? We mentioned about the album title. Max said that they didn't really have a title for the album. He said they left it right to the last minute and still nothing came to mind. Propaganda was one of the titles that they were going to go with. They got to the point with Road Run that the artwork was ready, but they still don't have a clue what to call the record. I think he said, eventually I was told that unless I came up with something almost immediately, they would make a decision for me and they were going to call it, like you said, Jim, Refuse Resist, which it would have been wicked. That would have fit.
Great. It's a great album name still, isn't it?
Should have called it No Skips.
That is, I just think, I think he just, he didn't want that, and then he come up with Chaos AD based on Misfits album, Earth AD.
Yeah.
So he got obviously that ID, and I mean, we wouldn't have known any difference. We would have been talking like, oh, they nearly called the album Chaos AD, but we know it as Refuse Resist. It would have, so we would have never have known. But I think any of those titles, it would have fitted the album. But Chaos AD is just fucking iconic, man. Yeah. For such an iconic album, man.
Great artwork as well.
This is one of my favourite album covers of all time, mate. Michael Whelan. Iconic artwork.
It is, mate. It is. God, what an album, mate. What a band. That Cavalera era Sepultura are probably in like bronze medal position for like favourite all-time band underneath Metallica and Maiden.
Mate, I would be amazed if there isn't a reunion.
There's something.
There's going to be like a point.
Something's coming, doesn't it?
There's going to be a Pantera type reunion for Sepultura, the original, the OG.
I just can't see it not happening, mate. Like, make it up, lads. Come on,
it makes sense.
It's been 30 years next year. Do you know what I mean? Like, surely, like, it's all water under the fridge by now, isn't it? Yeah, water under the fridge, mate. Yeah. First, a couple of little quick. This was the first album Paolo Jr. played bass on as well, wasn't it?
Mate, I was shocked when I saw that because he was just a live bassist.
Yeah,
and he got credited on obviously the last albums, but he never played on it, and it was like, what?
Just
like,
finally,
I thought when I saw on Wikipedia, I thought, no, I don't trust Wikipedia.
It's in the old Burns book, mate.
It's in the Burns book, yeah. And I had to go back, and I was like, what? I was convinced he was just a solid member, but I think he is an original member. But this is like his first real sort of stuff on it, and it's
went to pieces in the studio, mate.
He must have. Yeah, he must have shit himself.
Some people do, mate.
That's what Andreas said, wasn't it? That
he freaked. I mean, you can't fucking blame him, to be honest.
Nah, nerves got the better of him, mate.
Yeah.
Fucking what a record, man.
Oh god, what a record, mate. What a record. What a band.
Choosing which Sepultura Bolt Thrower albums to go in, like as the first ones into the Hall of Fame, difficult decision, but Chaos AD, like I said, I think for all three of us, this is a really important.
Yeah. 100%.
Really important record.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we are. The first Hall of Fame episode done. We'll do these once a month, yeah.
Yeah, we should do them
Yeah,
once a month.
100%.
Yeah, we'll do like a nice little Hall of Fame entry.
We might even be able to do them more regularly than that. Like they're only nice little half-hour
Yep.
blasters, isn't they? So we might be able to do these. But we'll just drop these whenever. Daz, you're in charge of choosing the next batch, mate.
I am indeed. Yeah, I think you pinged over the email, didn't you?
Yeah, I've made
I've got it somewhere.
Took me fucking hours to scroll through, back through Instagram.
There's a lot, man.
We've got 4 years worth, bruv.
God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever 3 batch, like, there's so many fucking batches of sick 3 albums on that list.
Mate,
I think this is a perfect. I mean, you can't get harder than Master Killer. Fucking those Once Loyal and Chaos. I mean, that's a fucking hard start, man.
It is, mate. Yeah.
I'm looking at the list now and it's disgusting.
It's I know, like, the way I'm gonna do it as is I'm just gonna go through and pick my album that I want to listen that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So
that's a good idea.
So then you two can chat about the way. So I'm not going to do it in blocks of 3. I'm just going to do it in the one album that I want to talk about.
Okay.
So, however you want to choose the 3-man, but like, there's some fucking great episodes coming up. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure.
What start? So yeah, let us know what you think of these 3 albums: Marauder, Master Killer, Bolt Thrower, Those Once Loyal, Sepultura, Chaos AD. Twitter at BangersP, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere you can think of. We're there, man.
Tesco Club card.
Sainsbury's Nectar card.
Yeah,
that's it. Small card.
You can find us all over the shop, mate. Yeah, let us know what you think of those 3 albums. We'll be back very soon with another 3. But until then, party on, dudes.